Hello, so today we spent a morning riding around Kent and we are on the new Yamaha MT-09 and the Triumph Street Triple RS. So if you're after a new 3-cylinder bike, you're not short of choice, and two of the most exciting triples to land this year are Yamaha's eye-catching and budget-priced and updated MT-09 and the new Triumph Speed Triple 765 RS. So the RS is the range-topping model in the family of new speed triples, and we chose it not just because it's got the most power and the best spec, but also because we wanted to see whether, if you're in the market for a naked 3-cylinder, you need to spend RS money to get the best bike. On paper, the MT-09 is proof that if you're looking for triple trouble, you don't need to spend big bucks, because for £7,799 you get an 847cc 3-cylinder engine with a claimed 115 horsepower and 65.5 pounds-foot of torque. And we took it for a power run at Steve Jordan Motorcycles in Bookham, and on the dyno there it showed to be making 105.5 horsepower at the rear wheel and 55.93 pounds-foot of torque. For 2017, the MT-09 has also had a restyle plus improvements to its suspension, and it now comes with a quick shifter as standard. But an extra £2,101 buys you the Street Triple 765 RS, which costs £9,900, and the Street Triple 765cc 3-cylinder motor makes a claimed 123 horsepower and 57 pounds-foot of torque. And on Steve Jordan's dyno, it made 121.48 horsepower and 55.57 pounds-foot of torque. And like the MT, it's also got a quick shifter, riding modes and traction control. But there's far more to the Street Triple 765 RS than that, and it shames the MT-09 with its premium feel and the composed and assured ride it offers. The nice badges, lustrous matte silver paint finish and gorgeous rear subframe all indicate that it's a classy bike, and it's accentuated once it's sitting next to the MT-09. By comparison, the Yamaha looks like it's awaiting a dash of colour to go over its primer grey paint job, and its intake and front light assembly look plasticky and a bit, well, unsophisticated.
I think technically it's the more accomplished machine, isn't it?
It is, yeah. But people aren't always after that, are they? And one of the things that might sway them is the styling. Now, I really like the MT-09, and I know a lot of people just think it looks awful, but they're wrong. And I know you feel the same, right?
Yeah, I think everybody notices the MT-09. People who know nothing about bikes notice it.
Yeah.
Simon noticed it, for example. I think it looks like it's straight out of a Japanese comic. If anything, I think for someone like me, I'm a little bit worried about it being too youth for me. I'm sort of self-conscious. I would be self-conscious of my neighbours seeing me get on it and thinking, that's the bike.
He's having a midlife crisis.
Yeah, that's 45. Yeah, that is what it's like, a midlife crisis bike for me.
Yeah.
I think if I was like 50
your age, younger.
50 years younger, like you are, then it would probably be definitely. And I do appreciate the styling, even though I'm not sure if if it's.
So I feel kind of similar about the Triumph. I think it's a pretty handsome bike, but it's just a bit boring looking. I mean, I think it's pretty nicely styled, but it doesn't really arouse any strong feelings in me, and it looks good, but I feel the same. So I feel like I'm maybe a bit too young to have such a sensible looking bike.
Yeah,
I think maybe
that's the midlife crisis bike. That's just the midlife bike.
If the MT-09 were a piece of clothing in my wardrobe, it'd be my all-black Nike tracksuit. The Street Triple RS would be my favourite grey suit. But unless I had a court appearance, I'd pick the tracksuit all day long. It's more striking, bold and aggressive than a boring old suit, and that's exactly what the MT-09 is. It looks aggressive and modern. It makes the Triumph look dull and safe, like a Street Triple, a bit beige, if you know what I mean. And it's hardly changed for this year. It could well be the previous generation bike. And the MT-09, well, it's just as striking when you're gunning it down the road. It might be down on horsepower compared to the Triumph, but it blows the trumpet away with its talky power delivery, making it a more exciting bike on the road. Interesting because although on paper the MT has a little more torque, the dyno reveals it to only have a slight edge on the Triumph. Crack the throttle open and the MT-09 drives forward with glee, and the Yamaha's CP3 engine delivers rampant shove throughout its mid-range and up towards 10,000 RPM. That's not to say the engine in the Street Triple RS is boring. In fact, it's really smooth and it invites you to wring every last drop of power from it. Keep it spinning above 8 grand and the rev counter charges for the red line with such a clean rush that you'd swear there's another piston pumping away in the block. And because of the way the motor is so smooth and game for a thrashing, the Street Triple delivers a different experience to the MT, a more precise and refined experience. And the MT definitely feels less refined than the Street Triple. Where the Triumph has sweet fueling and a lovely throttle response in whatever riding mode you have it in, the MT-09 can feel too sharp in the most aggressive of its power modes unless you're being aggressive back. So although it has a more exciting engine, it requires a more delicate touch, unlike the Street Triple, which has fueling and electronics that are totally on your side as you push to explore what's on offer. And when ridden back to back against the Street Triple RS, the difference is obvious. So both bikes use adjustable suspension front and rear. The Yamaha gets a 41mm upside down fork with additional adjustment for this year, plus an adjustable shock, and the Triumph has a Showa upside down fork at the front and an Olin shock at the rear. The Street Triple has a wonderfully assured and stable connection to the road, and it deals with British roads with ease. On the way into a corner, it delivers excellent stability and the confidence to do what you wish with the bike. The Yamaha, by comparison, has less of a polished feel, although it's by no means bad. The forks compress more keenly on the brakes and make a bit of a bigger deal out of road imperfections, but when jumping between both bikes, the difference is stark. After getting off the Triumph, the Yamaha immediately felt livelier, and a bumpy stretch of road can make it begin to feel unsettled, as can chucking it into a bend with a little bit too much enthusiasm. The rear can bounce in corners, and although it feels super light and steers really quickly and effortlessly, it just doesn't deliver the plush ride feel of the RS. And the Triumph also wins battle of the brakes. The Triumph Street Triple RS 765's Brembo monoblock front brakes have the MT-09's pair of 4-piston stoppers beating with ease. Feel through the lever is excellent with good bite and bags of power. But the Yamaha's brakes are good. I never found myself wanting for more power and feel, but what's on offer just isn't quite at the standard of Triumph's Brembo setup. And you might say the same about the instrument displays too. The Triumph uses a colour display that's customisable and easy to use, but if you want to change something while riding, it's easy to hit the indicator instead of the menu controller stick thing. The MT-09's controls are a simpler affair. All the useful usual information is visible on a monochrome digital display, but the rev counter is wedged against the top of the screen and could do with being a bit more prominent. But overall, I prefer the Yamaha's simplicity over the Triumph's, so I'm struggling to pick an outright winner. I thought the Triumph would triumph over the cheaper Yamaha, but although the MT isn't quite as polished as the Street Triple, it has more character and spirit about it. For the extra money you'll spend on the Triumph Street Triple RS, it delivers a more rounded and accomplished package. It's excellent and it handles better than the MT-09 and has an engine that rewards as you wring its neck, plus a better standard of finish. In fact, there's hardly anything wrong with it, and compared to the MT-09, it's a more grown-up, sensible bike. And that's precisely what bugs me about it. You see, the MT-09 is a bit more raw and it gets a reaction from people, but against the Street Triple, it's let down by its lack of refinement. Its suspension isn't quite on par with the Triumph's, and its overall finish certainly isn't. But the thing that counts for me is it has that engine and that styling. It's got loads more character than the Triumph, and it's hugely enjoyable because of that. So here's my inconclusive conclusion. If I was gonna just ride on the road, I'd have the Yamaha MT-09, but for a bike to ride on the road and do the odd track day on, I'd find the extra money by the Triumph Street Triple 765 RS.